one thing that all of a sudden I got a countdown again, Dave. That was weird. Um, I was like, anyway. But what I was saying is like all of a sudden, we talked about it. This team has taken a while. It's not an excuse, but I think it's true. We all knew Venables left this team, or not Venables. Riley left this team, especially after transferring, and some guys went with him. Not in great shape depth wise. There were some good players, but not great players as far as depth is concerned. It's taken Venables and the staff a couple of years to get that depth back, and it feels like we're finally there, not only in the line position, but we'll talk about it later, the defensive back as well.
Yeah, and it turns out I hadn't hit go live yet, so everything we talked about with Mateer and the O-line, nobody saw. Just us. It was a good rehearsal for the show, but for those of you just tuning in, because, we're live now. We have been for 54 seconds. Those of you just tuning in, I'm Dave Myrick. That's Randy Heights.
I didn't see the countdown.
Red River North. We're here to talk about everything OU SEC football. For those of you that might have taken a gamble on us tonight, we appreciate that. If you're looking to push your chips in the middle of the table and watch us, we appreciate that. Randy, John Mateer makes national news this week over the dumbest ass story I've ever seen. He denied it, which you can. Look, you and I talked in the audition. Venmo, PayPal, yeah, you write all kinds of dumb shit on that as you pay friends. 3 years ago, a game he didn't play in, wasn't involved in, might have said, I'll bet $20 so-and-so wins. He denied it, and there's no way to prove he did or he didn't. And the story to me went on way too long than it should have. It's dead right now, as it should be, and it's back to football, thank God.
Well, Dave, you want to take it one step further to, realize how crazy the story is. Monday night, I'm looking for the big story of the day, and I'm cruising around Twitter because I'm always like, hey, did something happen since I left the office, especially this time of year when there's not a guaranteed news story. I scrolled by so many comments. I thought, oh, whatever, some fan of a fan base has done some Photoshop. I didn't give it 2 seconds thought to make it the big story of the day because I thought, you know how fans are. How many Photoshop things are out there nowadays? I'm not sure if the Arch Manning butt stuff on Venmo's out there. But that's not, I'm not ripping Arch, but that's back to, again, the jokes you put in comments. I told you in our rehearsal, I put hookers and blow to play my fantasy dues. That's what I said to my buddy, and it's like, it's just so absurd that we're doing this because to your point, there's no paper trail. What it would really come down to is if this friend was mad at John or somebody paid him to say, fine. He says, yes, we have done sports betting. John goes, no, we haven't. Guess what? It's a he said, she said. Nothing comes of it. This is so dumb.
No, and for OU fans watching, rest easy. You already know this because it's very stupid, but John Mateer will be your quarterback August 30th. This is dead and buried. As Randy said in the audition, you guys really should have seen that. It was really good to watch. We'll try to redo it in the next 8 minutes. But as Randy said, look, it's a dog days of fall practice. Those of us that talk about it, you run out of shit to say. I mean, somebody out there was like doing what you did, probably perusing the internet, saw it, and was like, holy crap, here's a story. Next thing you know, it's on USA Today. ESPN's running with it. And you've got it as a big story of the day on the franchise. I mean, that's the way this works, and that's why it was a story. If that would have taken place November the 5th coming up, it gets maybe half a day's traction.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and to be honest with you, for Oklahoma fans, they realize this. To think a compliance department that is, a lot of people gripe about because they say they're too hands-on, with everything. The Oklahoma compliance department, Dave. To think that this could have potentially happened before he transferred in and they didn't do all their checks and balances on him, that is the most insane thing ever. Trust me, they probably searched him. They did an anal cavity search on him, probably the way the compliance department is. I mean, it's just insane.
Gig'em Bart, imagine being so terrified of your rival's new quarterback you spend hours combing through years of old Venmo transactions. Sad. I don't know who it was, what fan base they're a part of. People can probably guess, but some loser in his basement going through Venmo stuff. I mean, people, get a life. Stop doing that. Football's going to be here in a second. But that to me is pretty sad. As we talked about, you use PayPal, Venmo, you go back and look at some of the stuff you write to friends just out of context. If nobody knew and they looked at it out of context, that's exactly what we have right here. It should have never been a story. And, to me, it's almost beneath OU football. It's beneath people that have a brain to even talk about it. But here we are. We spent 5 minutes on it. So say love
Yeah,
you. Back to football.
because just real fast, because trust me, okay, even though marijuana is legal in this state, I guarantee you there's people that, hey, you go buy it, I'll reimburse you. I guarantee you they don't put Mary Jane in the, like, hey, this is for ganja. People just put stuff in it. It just
Yeah.
still blows my mind to think that somebody would be stupid enough if they made a sports bet to go, hey, this is for I missed the bet -6.5 against USC. No,
Yep. Yeah.
I would worry more about the people that, and I'm not doing this as a religious thing, but put in church donation. I'd be going, oh, what are they covering up? That's paying for something else. It's like, yeah, okay. No, you're not going
Yeah.
to put the bad stuff.
Laundering going on. If that really was a bet, he's the dumbest, better in the history of college football. But yeah, whatever. He's going to play football August 30th, and D Moneyline Mateer is here. Oh man, yeah. There is one good thing to come about. The jokes are endless, and they're going to last all year.
And what's great or bad, I don't know how you want to look at it. No matter how it goes down, Moneyline Mateer is going to be a nickname.
Yep.
Let's just say it doesn't work out and he's a bust, right? Every opposing fan base is going to use that on him. And then if he does work out, let's just say he turns into this superstar like Piquel. JD Piquel is like all over him. SEC Mike is in love with him. Said, well, this just guaranteed a Heisman for, John Mateer. All this kind of stuff. The Oklahoma fans are going to adopt Moneyline Mateer like it's the greatest thing in the world. It's going to go both ways. It's great.
It will, and I was asked this week. Do I think it bothers John Mateer? No, I don't. I think he's kind of got a built-in chip on his shoulder. I think similar to Baker Mayfield that will use this more as fuel than a guy that is pretty introverted, keeps to himself. That might really bother him on a bunch of people talking about him nationwide. I don't see that having an effect on Mateer. I think he's the type of guy to laugh this off and go on to the next day, which is what everybody else needs to do. Giggenbart nickname second only to Money Manziel. I was going to say, if he starts to lighten it up, do we see the reincarnation of Manziel out there from Moneyline Mateer, baby?
I would go with the odds, maybe something like that. I bet he has some fun with it. I mean, at this point, I would have. Of course, I'm a cocky, arrogant guy. I'd be the worst if I was like as talented as Mateer and I had a lot of success. Fan bases would definitely hate me because I would be diving headfirst into the deep end of the Moneyline Mateer nickname.
And he might. We've got to wait and see. Here we go. Here's a good one. NBA Horn Boy. Oh, he's a guy that said Blake Bell is like John Mateer last week. So take this for what you will. OU going 6-6 again with Burnt Vegetables as head coach. Well, they went 6-7. But Randy, that's a possibility. Look, Brent Venables 22-17 overall, not good. 0-3 in bowl games, 1-2 against Texas. So I mean, there's a lot of hype for this team from the moves they've made. There's a lot of hype for Brent just taking over the defense. Ben Arbuckle takes the offense, but they got to go do it. I mean, as of right now, it's not been a very successful tenure. And then look, whoever's saying that is correct. That is plausible with this schedule. They could go 6-7 again. I don't think it's going to happen, but they've got to go prove it.
I don't either, and I've said all summer long. I mean, I think there's a chance that could happen, but if you want to give a percentage chance, I think there's a better chance of them at least going 8-4, if not 9-3, than it is 6-7. I mean, look at the early part of their schedule. I mean, I'm going to be honest, 5-0 to start the season, and then after that, we'll see. But do they get more than one victory down the stretch? Heck yeah, I would say 100% at that point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think OU goes into Texas undefeated as well. They need to with this schedule because it's kind of backloaded. When you start talking about LSU and Ole Miss and Tennessee and Alabama and South Carolina, there's not really a reprieve when you go down the backstretch. What they've got, up until Texas, for the most part, is at home, and you've got Texas on the neutral field. Whatever happens coming out of Dallas, that'll probably be a top 5 matchup. Well, not with OU, but Texas will be top 5. So whatever happens there,
it depends on how things fall leading.
I mean, OU could be top 5.
I think it's definitely top 10. I mean, they're 18 right now.
It'll be a top 10. Yeah. So I mean, I think whatever happens, you take the loss to Texas. I think that'll be excused since they're the preseason #1 team in the country. But then that back into schedule to me is where this season is going to make or break. I like them against Michigan. I like them against Auburn, both of those games at home. But the back end really is what I think is going to determine whether Brent Venables is back next year or not.
I'm 100% with you on that. And Hornboy actually did say that the Blake Bell comp was very unserious, which I figured it was, you
Okay,
know.
all right.
And he
Good,
says
good.
he sees Oklahoma going 8-4 or 9-3, and I think that's it, you know. And that's what actually I follow. I don't know if I follow Hornboy, but I see him in a lot of conversations. He's actually a great troll to OU fans because just like there's a bunch of Texas fans this way, there's a bunch of Oklahoma fans that you say one little bad thing and they're hooked. It's like catching a big catfish. You know,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
fully hooked, and he's great about doing that. You know, so yeah.
Trolling.
Anyway,
All
yeah.
right, yeah, the Blake Bell. Okay, thank God, because I know he does a show with Cord coming up after we're done. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. 8-4, 9-3. I think that's about where everybody that follows college football is kind of thinking OU slides in. If that's the case, I do think Brent is back next year, and that will give Oklahoma a chance in games that might be 50-50. Maybe the other team has a little bit of an edge, as we see Randy's dog. LSU
Turn
at
the camera
home
around.
at Alabama, I think are going to be very tough. At South Carolina is going to be another tough one. But Randy did want to jump into some position battles ongoing in fall practice right now. Offensive line, I
Sorry.
think you're good,
Go
man.
ahead.
I think offensive line is very, very important. We've got a couple of young guys with Mike Fasusi and Ryan Foje coming into the fold with some veterans that played last year and struggled really at times, up there on that O line. But whatever the offense does or doesn't do is going to be predicated on if the young guys can get a grasp of this offense. Randy will rejoin us here in just a
I'm
second.
still here. I just turned my camera off because I'm trying to figure out how to turn it back around.
Gotcha. And yeah, so I mean, as it goes to Mike Fasusi, I want the guy to start. I want him to play. I don't really care about a veteran that came
Turn
from
around.
Western Texas, A&M, Carolina, whatever. I would rather see Fasusi and Foje start and kind of build their legs heading into SEC play against the Temples, against the Illinois State, Indiana States of the world, and get those guys ready. I saw what the guys last year could do and not do. A lot of them back, this season. So get those guys ready and geared up to go to the SEC play, and you should have a good offense behind that with John Mateer, Jaden Ott. There was a bit of an injury scare a couple weeks ago with an AC joint. Heard it was a sprain at first. That wouldn't have been good. Came out after it was just a stinger, so that's much better. But that's stuff that you never want to see happen with your star running back, a guy that is expected to tote the rock for Oklahoma all season long. Xavier Robinson also rumored to be banged up a little bit with a foot. It might be a turf toe type of issue. And those things can linger, especially for running backs. All players, all players that can take a toll, but running backs that kind of scares you running up between the tackles in this league. So, I mean, as much optimism as there is for this Oklahoma team to make a turnaround, there are also question marks at wide receiver and tight end, offensive line, and Randy, are you good to go?
I'm here. I'm talking. I'm on my iPad, so I'm good in that. Trying to figure out why my camera won't flip around.
Yeah, well, we're getting a good view of the floor out there.
How about I shut my camera off and we'll just talk while I figure it out.
That looks
Go
clean.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, other position battles that kind of catch my eye. Tight end, that was a disaster last year. It was never supposed to be. They bring a guy in that I think was going to be kind of the fourth or fifth option in the Oklahoma offense by game 3. He was number 1. That was never designed to be the case, and he kind of took a brunt from the OU fan base to the entire season struggle on offense, and has since departed to LSU. But I think this year, fingers crossed, if you're an OU fan, the wide receiver room stays healthy and produces a lot better than last year. Then those tight ends don't have to be quite as important, but Caden Helms, we've talked about the guy for, what seems like a decade. Broke his hand or a finger a few weeks ago. Not good, but apparently he's cast up and still practicing, so he ought to be good to go. I love his upside, Randy. To me, he is A1 for tight end at Oklahoma.
Oh no, I 100% agree with you there, Dave. I mean, he is what they need at that tight end position. He's athletic enough, and he gives them that pass catching. I think a lot of people forget how highly regarded he was coming out of high school. I mean, remember when they got him? Everyone made a huge deal of it. The only problem is for 2 years now we haven't seen him because he's been hurt.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Will Huggins, another guy up there in the mix. But I think the most interesting, obviously, is Jaren Kanak, very highly touted athlete that came to Oklahoma from Hays, Kansas. He was a 4-star, top 250 guy in America at the running back spot. They moved him to linebacker. He tried that his freshman and sophomore year, did not work out well. They've moved him back to offense, and that he's labeled as a tight end, Randy. But when I see Jaren Kanak, I mean, y'all go look up his high school tape. It's not hyperbole to say this guy was one of the best running backs in the country coming out of high school. He can do stuff with the ball in his hands. I see him more as in that H-back kind of Dimitri Flowers, Trey Millard. I think this guy can be a weapon for OU this year.
I'm 100% with you. I think I've been saying that all along, all summer long and fall. When people talk about it, it's like, hey, this guy was an offensive and defensive guy in Kansas, played some defense, but he did everything on the offense. He was Mr. Everything in Kansas. He played linebacker at Oklahoma for the first time when he took his snaps the first year at Oklahoma. So I'm not saying I'm expecting to be the superstar this year or anything, but I think he'll be pretty good because why? It's his natural position.
Yeah, back on offense, and I think that'll be needed. D in here, Carson Kent is a breakout at tight end. I'm calling it now. Yeah, Clark Kent's younger brother. I could see that, Randy. I mean, some of these guys have been dogged on from where they came from. It's they don't transfer from Alabama or Ohio State, and the fan base immediately is just out on the guy. I'm not with that. I think you can find talent from anywhere. I love Carson Kent's game. I like Huggins' game. I think they have enough bodies at the tight end position to kind of form one perfect tight end out of 3 or 4 guys.
No, and I think at this point that's what they need. And I guess my camera's just not going to turn around. Anyway, no, I think that they need, and we'll see if it works out for them. They don't need a superstar at tight end this year if the receivers come through. I think that's what they get. If they get what they got out of the receivers and everything else, and the running backs can build some of that pass catching, I think they'll be fine. You really need some blockers and everything else.
Yeah, you do, and the wide receiver spot, a lot of scrutiny there, of course, last year due to injuries. I go back to this time last year. You and I did shows, this one, others on the radio talking about that wide receiver room we thought was going to be one of the deepest in America. And then something happened, Randy. Jaden Gibson, news comes out. He, tore his patella tendon, was going to miss the year. That to me seemed like kind of a death blow to that OU wide receiver room. And for whatever reason, that spiraled the beginning of the end for that entire room. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't hear anything like that coming out of camp. Not camp. I'll never say camp. NFL has a camp. College has practice. But hopefully, we don't hear anything like that coming out of fall practice. What we have heard, the wide receiver spots are really good. Satania from Arkansas is showing out. You've got the freshman from Shakota. Shout out Carrie Underwood. Thomas, that I think is going to be a superstar. I think he's going to play a ton this year, regardless of Deion Burks. And they should have the size on the outside with Giovanni Gibson coming back, hopefully healthy by game 1, to have a pretty solid unit for John Mateer to throw the ball to.
100%. I mean, I think we've said it all summer. It's a wait and see on the receiving core. But I think as long as they stay healthy, which right after last year, Dave, we have to hold our breath through everything. But as long as they stay healthy, do they maybe have the superstar? I think Deion Burks potentially could be that. No, but they have a bunch of good receivers, and I think that's key. If you can at least go 5, 6 deep, it was funny. I don't know if it was you or I heard somebody the other day. It may have been you on the air when you said, you know, look at 2000. And God, I'm not saying they're winning a title, so people shut up. But they didn't have any superstar receivers, but that offense put up a lot of yards because they just had really good receivers that could be out there and make plays.
No doubt. And yeah, that is what I referenced. 2000, you did not have a superstar. I mean, that was Antoine Savage, Curtis Fagan, Damian Mackey, Josh Norman kind of emerged, but they were all serviceable. You had guys that filled certain roles just the way I think this team with this squad will. You've got your bigger guys for your jump balls, your red zone type stuff. You've got your speedsters underneath with Thomas and Satania. I'm not saying that they're going to duplicate things, Randy, but it's awfully similar to go back to that offense and the wide receivers they had. And Josh Heupel at quarterback that year was kind of your point guard at quarterback, distributing to everybody else, letting playmakers get the ball in space and make plays. Randy has dropped off. Hopefully he'll rejoin us and get the dog and floor situation sorted. But guys, I really like this OU offense on paper. I know they've got to go prove it, but what we talked about before we came on, the offensive line to this is going to be paramount. And Mike Fasusi, Ryan Foje, get those guys in, get them reps against everybody that you can. Get them. They won't be 100% ready for SEC play. I'm not sure anybody is, but I like their upside and I like them as football players more than what we've already seen. That's just me. I'm here for the youth movement on the OU offense. If they can get it, the running backs behind them, stay healthy. Xavier Robinson, I think everybody's slept on X. He was the only running back that really did much of anything last year with an offense that had absolutely, no shot of throwing the football. So, I mean, that was 8, 9-man fronts every time he toted the rock and still did okay. So, we'll see if those guys can stay healthy. And as Randy Heights is back, I believe. You back with
I'm
us?
back, and that still didn't help my camera. Anyway,
Well, we'll get it. We'll get it eventually, Randy. But the O line is kind of what I was talking about just now. How important that is. Everett, I think, is the one guy at center you can go ahead and say, yeah, he's going to be a starter. The rest of it, I still firmly believe that is an ongoing battle across the front.
no, I think it is. Whether it's going to be the youth, whether it's going to be a mixture of both. I got a feeling EPL will be a starter in the first part. I'm not really too worried about that. The key is, all right, is Fasusi going to be is Foje going to be the starter? Do they go with a nice mixture? But I think what Bill said the other day, it gave me some reason for optimism that some of the youth have picked up the learning curve, which I think with Beanbo, it's never been about talent. It's always been about do they get the mental side of the offensive line game at the Division One, and it sounds like some of those guys have been, and that they are picking it up pretty quick. It's making it really tough decisions for Coach B.
No doubt about it. Josh Manning in the chat, my boy Joshy Manning Esquire. You cannot miss this guy on Twitter. Dave, when am I going to get an invite on the show? You're on the show right now. See, you're chatting. I'm not bringing you up. If you got questions, fire away. No, we'll get you on. Gig 'em Bart, LOL. Yeah, technical issues. You got to love it. We've talked a lot about the Oklahoma offense. John Mateer betting on himself this year. Sorry, low hanging fruit. Had to. Randy, the Oklahoma defense. I want to talk about the defense because, look, I've touted this thing up. I'm as sold on anybody. They're going to be pretty good, the front four especially. But I do have to caution people, myself included. There have been a lot of times the last 3 years that this defensive line hasn't had a lot of production. Up until R. Mason Thomas last year when he turned it on, it was usually in the fourth quarter. He got more consistent with that. But, for 3 years, there hasn't been a lot to point to out of the down four and edge men for production. So I think everybody needs to kind of take a breath until we see what's what and if they've really got that solved with the personnel to do it.
And no, I think it is. And if you notice, I'm back.
You're back.
You,
Yay! Figured it out.
you know what's smart? Look at the camera icon in the website instead of on your iPad. Works a lot better. Anyway, so I was able to get it switched around. No, I think you're right. I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about taking a few years, especially on the defensive side, to build back up the depth and talent to get Oklahoma to the level they were used to having that Lincoln Riley kind of let go on the defensive side of the ball.
Yes.
Think about those recruiting classes, and it took a while, and now I think we're finally to that point where you look across the ball on the defensive side, especially in the trenches, and go, they're loaded, boys. They've got talent. It's not like, I mean, I'll be honest. Last year, if R. Mason Thomas goes down hurt, the world might have ended, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't want it because there's a big drop off this year. There's a drop off, but it's not ginormous where it's like, well, they're screwed at the defensive end until R. Mason gets back. I mean,
Right.
or the defensive tackle position. That's what they've finally done. They've got SEC depth. And I'll go one step further, Dave. People remember were griping in the portal. They need a defensive back. They need a defensive back. And I think the young guys have put that with a chip on their shoulder. And basically, you heard Gilroy say, hey, there's a reason they didn't get anyone in the portal. And maybe they're right. Coaches liked what they had. Why go spend money and get somebody in from the portal that he might help, but we really think our young guys are better than him? Stick with the youth. And it sounds like it's working out so far.
Yeah, I know that after I completely agree. After the portal cycle closed and they kind of stood pat at DB, we were like, okay. But you got to remember they had Eli Bowen healthy, so we thought, and Gentry Williams coming back. But I mean, you still go get guys for depth. They didn't do that. So I mean, guys like Cortland Gilroy, Smith, Jacoby Johnson. The only thing Johnson for last year is falling down against Missouri for the Luther Burden touchdown. Don't let that stick in your mind. He's going to make a jump. He's a rangy defensive back. He was highly touted coming out of Oklahoma high school football. So, I mean, he's back. He's good. But, Randy, talking about Gilroy, Cortland Gilroy, I like this dude. I like his moxie. I like his makeup. He's 6'2". He's got great size at DB. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts opposite Gentry Williams game one with Eli Bowen still benched. I did get a question here. Go ahead, Randy.
I'll answer that way you did the question. I'm kind of with you, especially with Eli out. We've heard nothing but rave reviews on Gilroy all fall. And it's almost like it builds up some momentum to the season starting. And I think it'll be an interesting thing. Let's say he succeeds. And I've heard Eli may be out 2 to 3 weeks. Let's say he succeeds. Well, Eli's definitely earned a starting spot.
Sure.
If Gentry's healthy, he's earned a starting spot. What'll be interesting is when they get back, what do they end up doing? Do they play a little nickel with all three of them on the field at times? There's going to be some interesting decisions when that comes. And for Oklahoma's sake, you hope that is a conversation they have to have, not just an easy, all right, Eli's a starter and Gentry. You would like Gilroy to be pushing them, and that'll show you the depth that they have at that defensive back spot.
That kind of goes back to what we're talking about in our audition, I guess. The battles going on in practice right now you didn't see last year, and that wouldn't hurt. I mean, I think any defensive coordinator wouldn't mind having 3 or 4 guys up to speed he can chunk out there, and you're not going to have a big drop off. I think they've got that at multiple spots. Cheetah is another one besides defensive back. I think Kendall Daniels is my A1 at Cheetah, but I mean Reggie Powers getting a lot of love. Not only at Cheetah, but back at safety. I mean, Peyton Bowen, we all thought was going to be the incumbent. Not so fast. That might go to Powers. I still think Peyton Bowen will start, but you're going to have 3 or 4 guys, I think, that all cycle in and all play a lot. Same at linebacker. I mean, Kobe McKenzie's kind of forgotten right now, and the dude is a stud. He's a day one NFL talent, and people talking about Sam Omasigo starting at the mic next to Kip Lewis and not Kobe. That doesn't matter to me. Oh, yeah, it matters who starts, but I think the point is all these guys are going to cycle through and play a ton of snaps.
Exactly. And I think Reggie Powers could end up beating like maybe a Peyton Bowen out, but I really think what you're going to see Reggie Powers is sharing time at that cheetah position with, Daniels and stuff. Even though I think Daniels is the guy and we look at him, my goodness, I think he's going to be a freak for them. And they finally got a guy that can do everything they want at that position. Reggie Powers is impressed at that spot as well. And you're right. It matters, but it doesn't who starts. I
Right.
don't think out of when you get a Asamigo and Kobe, it's not going to, I think they're going to play about 50-50. That's how much little separation there is between those two guys right now. That's some high level linebacker play. And again, the reason Oklahoma fans, I think, should have a lot of optimism going into this year, just because the defense, I really think, is going to be better than last year's unit with an offense that's going to have a pulse. That's the big difference, I think, between this year's team and last year's team. The offense can
Yeah,
do
and
stuff to help the defense out.
we didn't see that last year, and it's tough to say they'll be better after you lose Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman. But Randy, I'm with you, man. I mean, a front four, a front seven makes a defensive unit. And I think this is the best front seven we've seen at Oklahoma since going back to 01, back with Tommy Harris, Jimmy Wilkerson, Kalmus, and Lehman. That is how good I think this defense can be. They've got to go prove it, but they've got the personnel to do so. I wanted to get back to a question. Josh Manning, can you give us wide receiver depth chart and who we should see after Burks? Randy, I like Satania. I think we've heard his name enough coming out of fall practice that he's going to be out there. Giovanni Gibson, I think if he's healthy, will definitely play and play a lot. After Burks, yeah, Elijah Thomas, true freshman from Shakota, top 250 kid that was kind of being slept on. No more rave reviews out of everybody that you talk to, everything that you hear. I think he's going to play and play a lot. You know, Jaden Gibson that tore his if we're ever going to see him. He's kind of becoming a what if story. And Norman, I 4-5. He's an NFL day one talent type guy, but Randy just can't get on the field, man.
No doubt. And I think Zion Kearney's the other one. He's had a really good fall camp. If he can get out there, stay healthy, and, he's a guy that impressed in the bowl game. And from everything you hear, has just kind of continued that progression, you know. And he's another guy I like to see out there that I think we'll see get some time and be a big contributor. Wouldn't shock me if he's kind of the surprise receiver because I feel like, especially the fan base, they all, like threw every receiver in the trash from last year just because of all the injuries and the young guys didn't perform instantly at All American level. It's like the fan base are like, nobody's any good.
Right.
Zion Kearney's, I think, one that could be really good for them this year.
Yeah, the two Zions people always forget about because what you're talking about. Last year, nothing looked good on the OU offense, so they got thrown in the trash. No, these guys don't suck. They weren't, all Americans in high school for nothing. I like Kearney's game. Zion Reagan's is supposed to be a speedster. He's just small, man. I mean, 5'10", 180 You got to be really fast if you go that route. Maggie Johnson chiming in. I like the upgrades OU made both sides. Who do y'all think OU could upset this season? And vice versa. I know she wants me to say Missouri at home, but I can't go there.
My thing is that's not an upset, I don't think. I guess that's what we have to decide. What is an upset?
No, I'm saying like Missouri upsets OU at home. I don't see that happening yet.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I mean, like for Oklahoma games that maybe people aren't thinking they'll win, I think Ole Miss is kind of that toss-up game. I think at home Oklahoma this year gets that win because I mean, look what Ole Miss lost last year. I kind of feel like that's a game OU picks up. And then I think at the end of the year, I don't know if they pick it up, but it's a coin flip if OU's doing everything right this year. If they're in that 3-loss, 4-loss spot, LSU is going to be a very interesting game at the end of the year because scaffolding Kelly, I'm not sure I trust him by the end of the season. I mean, somebody may fall off and die before he gets to that game.
Do we bet on Mateer to win that game? I'm going to do this all year. It's not going anywhere.
You might just lay a wager down there. You might. Yeah.
Dude, I agree. I love Nussmeier and LSU, and the problem OU has is the Tigers. LSU have owned Oklahoma in football for whatever reason. OU against Notre Dame and USC has never been good. OU against Alabama, for whatever reason, Bama has trouble getting over the hump against OU. LSU to Oklahoma is just one of those teams they struggle with. That could have a lot on the line coming down the stretch in Norman, Randy, for both teams. So, I mean, that is one to me is true 50-50. If it was in Baton Rouge, no brainer. The fact it's in Norman, I give OU a fighting chance. I don't know if, that would be an upset. I was going to say playing at home.
That's the one that I think. I'll go ahead and say that's my upset because is Michigan an upset at home?
No.
No. And I'll be honest, is Tennessee an upset on the road right now? I don't know if it is.
Just because they're in Knoxville. I mean, it probably depends what it looks like going in, but yeah.
Okay, so how about this? I'll give you two upsets. If we're considering Tennessee an upset, Tennessee's my upset on the road. LSU will be my upset at home.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to go with, I think if you win against LSU at home, that's an upset because Brent has not really shown he can consistently win big games at home. So That would be an upset. Who do I think can upset Oklahoma? I mean, coming off of 6-7, look, no offense to OU fans. Anybody that beats OU, I'm not sure that's, I mean, this year, yeah, it would be an upset, but anybody can, especially with this schedule. Maybe Michigan coming in week 2, I think if they beat Oklahoma, that would be considered an upset.
Yeah, see, okay, but see, I'm not going to pick that one. That's where I'm like, I think they lose to South Carolina on the road. To me, that's not an upset. They lose to Texas. That's not an upset. And so that's why for Maggie, it's really hard for me to sit there and go, this is who I think they're going to get upset by. I feel like this is going has a good chance for Oklahoma to be kind of that status quo season, with the exception of like an LSU at the end of the year that they win, where they go 8-4, 9-3, and they lose the games. Where we look at the schedule at the end of the season, and go, yeah, we kind of saw that one coming in. We kind of saw that one coming in. I don't feel like there's that back of Big 12 days, that Iowa State or Baylor or a Bedlam game that you're going, how the hell did they lose that game? You
Right,
know?
right.
Now, I guess you could say Auburn, but basically right now, speaking of that, real fast, for Love of the Game podcast, yes, Bama would be an upset, but I don't think either one of us are picking that one, are we, Dave?
No.
Yeah. But did you see the offensive coordinators from Auburn's quotes yesterday?
Did you see their fan base reaction? Like, you got to be shitting me. Who can like that? Who can be on board with that?
Well, that's why I quote tweeted it yesterday or quote X'd it, whatever you want to freaking call it nowadays, where it's like, oh, things are going swimmingly in Auburn. I mean, first down's this guy, third down's this guy, second down, I guess it's Hugh Freeze, but guess what? He can overrule every down. Oh my God.
I've
I,
never heard
I
of that. I've never heard of anybody doing that
dude,
ever.
I feel so bad for Jackson Arnold.
Oof.
I really, really do. He's a guy that needs stability because I think he is loaded with talent, and
I do too.
last year was just ugly for him. He decides to go to Auburn, and that's the shitstorm you're walking into. Oh my God! So where does Hugh
Well,
Freeze golf at next off season?
to,
Because he's gonna have a year at least of an off season.
to me, it's always telling to get on and see the comments from fan bases, right? If a lot of them are like, "Oh, shut up," it's not that big of a deal. That's telling. This time, no, man. Even Auburn fans were shaking their head like, "What are we doing? This is a clown show." Well, I will say this to that. I think Auburn's loaded with offensive talent, and I think Hugh Freeze can be a decent OC and design some good stuff. That'd be bad news for Brent Venables if Jackson Arnold rolls in, and puts up 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and beats Oklahoma. I'll tell you what, OU's going to fire their defensive coordinator if that happens that weekend.
Yeah, I agree, but I'll say this also. Jackson might be screwed by that point in time. Who I heard today, like 3 out of the 5, I haven't looked. They're playing unbelievable defensive coordinators. Game one, Baylor. Baylor's one of the better teams in the Big 12 this year.
That
Dave
game's a
Aranda,
sleeper, yes.
yeah, Dave Aranda. Do we all remember what kind of defensive coordinator he is? Then he's got
Yes.
Brent Venables. And then after Brent Venables, I think it's Kirby Smart. I swear to God, Jackson Arnold may be like, Mommy, come
Good.
get me. Yeah, he may be like, Mommy, come get me after that game. And I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
making
a
fun
rough.
of him, but if you got
No,
three
yeah, I
different
gotcha.
offensive coordinators in his head playing those defenses, I might be going, Mommy, come get me at that point in time.
Yeah, that's rough, man. Jackson, I think the OU fan base is they're behind Jackson Arnold. That they want to see the kid succeed. There's not really any bad blood there from last year. I think Jackson handled a rough situation with class and maturity, being his age and being benched, and you never heard anything about pouting, putting his head down, being a bad teammate, and he came back in and gave OU a puncher's chance to at least make a bowl game. So I think OU fans outside of that game in Norman want to see Jackson succeed. Is a cat being strangled back behind you, or what? What is that?
I think a neighbor kid's got a whistle. My wife said earlier they were out playing I'm a Tornado. We live in
No.
Moore. That's a fun game, right? So he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
destroying his they were destroying their brother and sisters as a tornado. Yeah.
Define irony.
Hey,
So yeah, we'll see what Jackson can do. As of right now, I have OU beating Missouri, but by the end of the year, you never know. Look, that's a good point. You never know. All this is based on what we think is going to happen. By the time that week rolls around, we might be out on Brent. He might not even be in Norman. So I mean, who knows what that's going to look like by the time we get there. I'll say this to that. I'm going to stand pat on the schedule. I've said from the beginning the most important game to me this entire season for OU is Michigan week 2 at home. I know they're not the juggernaut that won the national championship. I know they're not a Michigan traditional power like they've been. I don't care. That's going to be a huge game in Norman, probably college game day under the lights, with so much unknown with the fan base and what's going to be or not be. You cannot lose that one with the back end of this schedule. You just can't.
I'm with you. I mean, it's very interesting. I know we got a lot of Texas fans on here. I think both teams' schedules and Texas preseason number one for a reason. But let me tell you, the start of Texas season, it's not good either. On the road to Ohio State, they
Tough.
also get Florida. I mean, as much as we all think Texas is really good, there's an outside chance going into the game in Dallas they could be 3-2. If
I don't see
Lagway
it, but that could happen. Yes.
I don't either, but I'm just saying it's kind of the same point I'm making about Oklahoma. Is there a chance they lose to Michigan? Yeah. Is there a chance they lose to Auburn? Yes. I think they win them all. I'll say this though, Dave. Honestly, is there a better chance? You make me put a bet on it in Vegas right now. Going into Dallas, which team's undefeated and which team's not? Oklahoma's undefeated. Texas isn't.
That's a take, Randy. But look, I'll preface.
I don't think they win game one.
Well, I'll preface this with that. I watched, Manning play last year in the 2 games he played, and he's good. He's a baller. He's a good.
Before or after his butt stuff?
Probably after. I only went back 3 years in those Venmo descriptions, so he's good. He can play football, and I think Texas has a hell of a team around him. But going into the horseshoe is not easy. OU was able to do it with Baker Mayfield, but that's Baker Mayfield. Can Arch Manning have that? Can he lead that kind of a team, be an overall leader to the Longhorns, walk into the horseshoe week 1, with the defending national champions and how rowdy that place is going to be and walk out with a victory? That's tough duty, man. We'll find out what he is or what he isn't quick.
And with some offensive lines that have some question marks for Texas. I mean, I was watching College Game Day Live, and I've been thinking it for a while. No one said it. They're concerned with Texas, the offensive line.
Yeah.
They had some injuries, and, they got good players, but you're going on the road at the horseshoe, game 1, freshman quarterback that couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers, which we saw his preseason debut.
Yeah,
My God,
yeah.
I'm in a wheelchair and can't walk, and I would look better than Quinn Ewers did this day. Holy crap. My God, the homeless guy that lives down the street is better than Quinn
Ewers. That's tough, man. I mean, NFL, that's a different animal. We'll see what Arch is able to do. That's a tough game 1, tough ask, and I'm with you. If I'm betting on it right now, which team goes into Dallas with a loss? Probably Texas because of that Ohio State game. That's one of the toughest season openers I've seen. Ghost and Friends chiming in. Bart, which team is the best at gooning? I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Is that like punking people?
Gooning. I mean, Tennessee, we cover college baseball. Tennessee fans, they can get it, man, on Twitter. If you lose them in any sport, you're going to hear about it for days and days. If gooning means dogging the shit out of people, I got to say Tennessee is me.
Yeah. But if we're talking the actual team, I don't know if they are. Are we talking the fan bases? You're right. The team, is it more like Georgia? I mean,
could be.
We know they like to drive fast and get tickets, but.
Yeah. Gigambart and Ghost and this is fun to watch in the chat. You've got Cord, who's a Longhorn, and Gigambart, obviously an Aggie, shaking hands. This is what we do, people. We bring the college football, the SEC community together to all hate on each other right here on this Restream show that we do every Wednesday. And sometimes love is formed.
But can I also say this? If an Oklahoma fan or a Texas fan ever starts the SEC chant, they need to be...
Yeah, slap them. Yeah. Slap them. Josh Manning, gooning is jerking off. I don't know, man.
Well,
I don't know. I couldn't tell you
Well,
that one.
Oklahoma State's not in the SEC, so I'm not sure.
Colorado, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, not in the SEC, exactly.
No,
I don't know.
that was by me. When in Dallas, unbiased. We're off the rails here, ladies and gents. We got whistles going on. You know,
You're
Randy,
not
right
doing the
now going
whistle.
in, I would probably, yeah, it's loud. I'll give them that. I'd probably
And they're
like
like,
right
let me tell you,
now.
they're a block away.
Yeah, I believe it. Everybody can partake. I would probably say going in right now, just to call it, if OU Texas played tomorrow, I would have Texas probably at like a 9-10 point favorite in Dallas. Just me.
No, I think yeah, I think somewhere between 8 and 10. That's probably where it's at. But you know, it's like we always say, you never know until we get there. Let's see how some of these units on both sides of the ball for Oklahoma perform in the first 5 games, and I might have a totally different opinion going into that game.
Jimmy Satterfield, RMT, and Marvin Jones Jr. on the edge with Okoye and Wine backing them up. The edge should put a lot of pressure with that. And I think there's also another guy that if he takes a step about that he is coming out of fall practice, PJ Adibeore. I think that's the first time I've ever said his name right. Randy, the guy is NFL day one guy off the edge. If he can put it together mentally on the field, that is also thrown out there for Oklahoma at the edge. That's why we're stoked about the D. I think we've seen defensive tackles in Norman, the last 20 years, really good ones. Casey Walker was pretty good. Jamarcus McFarland, pretty good. They've got guys better than that on the interior, but what they've got this year we haven't seen are those edge rushers, NFL edge rushers esque this year to kind of combine with what they've got in the middle. I think that is where everybody's expectation for this to go from good to elite is coming from.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I think the difference is, have they had edge NFL rushers recently? Yeah, like Nick Benito, guys like that. They've had some edge guys, but they haven't had the down linemen in the middle, the guys you referred to, the Walkers. It's like they've never had it all together. And I think this year they have the whole unit. And to Joshy Manning's point, I think Taylor Wine's getting some love, and everything. But at the same time, I think it's Adebawore. PJ is going to be the guy. Taylor's Wayne is going to be the guy that comes in as the fifth guy off the edge. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, that's what you want because of the experience, of the talent level. Those are the main four you want out there. RMT, MJJ, PJ. Those are the guys you want out there first. And then you want Taylor coming in there and getting some playing time as well.
Well, we've diced up Oklahoma. We've gambled on starting spots and, predictions coming up for this year. We can bounce around the SEC a little bit. I kind of referenced LSU earlier. I love Garrett Nussmeier. Brian Kelly is the one exception I've got for LSU as far as taking that thing from good to great. Good quarterback play can do it. I love Nuss. Outside of that, Alabama, not really quite sure what that's going to look like this year. You lose a really good quarterback that had played a lot of football for the Crimson Tide. Tennessee is another one. You lose a quarterback that he was pretty mid, but I think if he'd have stayed, the expectation would be he'd take a step and they'd be better than they were last year. Now I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns around the SEC. Georgia as well.
Yeah, no, I think I think that's one reason it's easy right now to go Texas as the favorite too, because I think out of the SEC they may have the fewest question marks, and that's one reason it's easy to
Right.
go, hey, Texas should be the favorite, and they should be because they do have the fewest amount of question marks, and you look around the rest of the league, Alabama's new quarterback, we don't know what he's going to do. They named him today. I can't even think of the kid's name. He's the high five-star kid. They got committed a couple of years ago. I mean, he's the starter. Georgia's got a new quarterback. Tennessee, hell, they edit out their quarterback in game highlights that they put on social media. That probably tells you all you need to know. Plus, they just signed a deal with Adidas, so that program's going to the shitter. I mean,
Yeah. What's
I don't
up with
know.
that?
Speaking of how you can tell how fan bases felt about things, if you go into the comments of that, let me tell you, Tennessee fans are not
Not good.
happy. Not happy at all. Now they were with Tennessee with Adidas during the Manning era, I believe. So I mean, they have a history there. Plus, if the dollar figures are true, can't blame them. They're going to get 20 million a year as opposed to
No,
5 million. Oh,
that's worth
Marcel
it,
Reed disrespect. What? I would have.
Marcel.
There is no disrespect. If you can't get a butt down the field more than 5 yards, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. A&M is another one I think has some question marks
Yeah.
this year. I know a few of them are optimistic with what A&M may or may not do. A lot of them just want to beat Texas, and they'll be happy with a good year. I like Elko, Randy. I think he's going to build a team at A&M over time. I'm not quite sure if this is it.
No,
Not
it's kind of funny.
sure this
It's like,
year.
trust, yeah, trust me, Giggenbart. I think Elko is going to do a great job there. I think, unfortunately, yeah, did they have great success last year? No, but maybe more than a lot of people thought, right? And I kind of feel like that happens a lot of times with first year coaches. They'll come in and they'll have that good year, but sometimes brace yourself. The second year might be a step back before they really get their guys in there, their system in there, and it takes it to another level. I think Elko's the best coach A&M's had, God, since R.C. Slocum.
Ooh, R.C. Slocum pull. Nice. That's one back in the day. And people forget Dennis Franchione once coached at A&M a long time ago. In fact, he
And
was
he
on the
was,
sideline for that 77-0 beatdown in Norman.
yeah, no doubt, Miles O'Neill time. I think you're right, Giggenbart. To be honest with you, there's a
Yeah.
part of me, I would just go, you know what? It's time to go. Let's see what the young guy can do. That would just be me. Sometimes there's a point, especially in year two, Dave.
Yep.
That's when it's a head coach. You don't have all the pressure of the world on your shoulders in a must win year. Put the young guy in, develop him, and make your push the next year.
I'm for the
By
youth
the
movement. I am across the board. I don't care. Play your
way,
if you get a guy in that is like a 5-star, top 25 player in college or high school football, play the guy. If he's over a guy that was all right last year, but he's not going to make mistakes, I don't care. I'm tired of seeing that. Play the best talent you've got. And yes, I'm talking about Mike Vasusi and Ryan Fogier and EPL going back to last year at Oklahoma. There's one team I did want to kind of wrap up with. It's getting a lot of hype, but I'm sold on them.
after that, I got one other thing we can talk about, but go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love Shane Beamer from his time, in Norman with OU. I love his energy. He's a great guy. And for the first time, really, in his tenure at South Carolina, he seems to have some really positive momentum. Lenora Sellers, I like the team around him. I'm kind of getting boys in the SEC. The problem is Shane has also struggled in his time. Are we putting too much stock into Sellers and Shane Beamer this year?
I don't think we are. I mean, I like their schedule. And to your point, when you talk about Shane, kind of he's a guy. South Carolina was nowhere on a level of a Oklahoma and A&M or a Texas when he took over that program. Well, he had to build. It's taken him a while. I mean, it's just like for a couple of years. Spencer Rattler, I thought played pretty well for him, but the
Yeah.
defense was still kind of getting developed. Well, Spencer leaves, and now the defense starts coming up. This year, I think, is the first year you're going to see a team from South Carolina since Shane Beamer's been there, where he's got a good unit on both sides of the ball. And so I kind of like what the Gamecocks are going to be able to do this year. And to your point with Sellers, he might actually be the best quarterback in the SEC this year.
Damn right. Yeah. I mean, fully in what he can do, throwing the ball and running. I'll tell you another guy. If he can stay healthy, Lagway down in Florida is a really, really good quarterback. He wasn't able to run last year. He can damn sure throw it. He showed that. And Billy Napier is going to need it. He is also on the hot seat as well. Missouri, the Tigers also have a quarterback battle going on, I believe. Sam Horn, Tommy Locke, Matt Zollers, and Bo Pribula all in the mix. I'm not really familiar with who's going to be the starting, the trigger man for the Tigers.
I think it's Pribilla. I think the
Is
transfer.
Pribula the guy?
Yeah, I think Drunkowitz will change it several times. I know it's Drinkowitz, but let's be real.
Love your man Elias Drinkowitz.
The only one I like better is Big Game Brian, by far and away.
Nash talks. Don't ban Mateer. Look, if you're hoping that Mateer's not going to play game one, don't bet on it. oh, I'm going to do this all year and I'm going to love doing it. Low hanging fruit. I'm going to grab it all season long. You can push the chips to the middle table knowing that.
Hey, I know we're up against it. The last thing I wanted to talk about, Oklahoma recruiting. This week, got a loss, but got a win.
Yep.
And last night, Jacob Cruel, he commits to Oklahoma. That was or yesterday afternoon, that was a big commitment for him. And, I know a lot of OU fans are out there ripping them, for the recruiting. They've got several 4 stars, no 5 stars. I think Oklahoma fans just need to breathe and realize this was going to be a rough year. And the reason I say that, right, wrong, or indifferent, we've talked about how many times have we mentioned in the last 2 months this could be Brent Venables' last year.
Yep.
And if you think we're all mentioning that, media in Oklahoma, fans in Oklahoma, they're all mentioning that. How many people in the recruiting trail are telling these same kids this? Like, you don't want to go there. Those coaches aren't going to be there next year. We're good here. Come here, And so I think that's kind of the difference. Because here's the deal. Even if you had a bunch of kids commit and you got a top 5 class, Dave, if it doesn't work out for Brent this year, all that class is going to be in the portal,
Yep.
you know? So it doesn't really matter. What's key is keeping it a top 20 class this year, making hay in the portal if Brent's still here. And if he's still here, that means you don't have to worry about the on the hot seat next year. You make your push for the recruiting class in 27, which they already starting to make some headway in that regard.
You're coming off 6-7, a losing year. You're 2-3. There's all kinds of uncertainty with the head coach and position coaches, right? If you're a wide receiver, you don't know if Emmett Jones is going to be back. If Brent Venables is fired, more than likely that's going to be a house cleaning unless they happen to tab Arbuckle to take his spot, which could happen, but probably unlikely. So, I mean, there's just you've got to have some balls right now to commit to Oklahoma. You do. Now, if they start to win this year and get back on track and start to look like Oklahoma football, then yeah, that's different. And I guarantee you their recruiting class will go up when that happens. But I thought Cruel yesterday, especially from what we kind of heard last week, that it was leaning Texas. That wouldn't have been good to go 0-2, miss out on him and Gross. I thought that was big. I think that getting that type of recruit with all the uncertainty we're talking about to go with a guy like Bo Bentley shows other recruits, all right, have some faith in this thing. It's trending the right direction. Now they just have to, kind of translate that to the field and win some football games. I just put a question up, Randy. Who is y'all's favorite Texas player ever? Why don't you go first?
Oh, ever?
Yeah.
I thought they've been on the roster this year.
I'd
What
have
do you
to
think
think
about
about
it?
that.
My
Yeah.
God.
I know. I liked Major Applewhite.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I thought he got screwed because Chris Sims had the name Sims and Major got benched, but that's just me.
Chris Sims is one of my favorites.
I'm not surprised.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I really am. I'm trying to think.
I know.
The Ocho brothers, I actually like both of those guys. You know, uh, probably Emmanuel the most. You know,
Yeah.
I think maybe he's one of them up there. He's up there.
I always liked Sergio Kendall, which bad news coming out. He's got colon cancer that just came out, and looking for help. Hopefully, he gets what he needs and comes out of that. Hate to hear that, but I always liked Kendall as a player. I liked Major Applewhite. I know a lot of OU fans didn't because that's kind of the dark years before these current dark years when Major tore John Blake's ass apart in the Cotton Bowl. But I always thought he got a raw deal getting yanked for Chris Sims. I liked Major's gaminess. And, there's been a couple down the pipe, I guess I could say I like. That's a good question. Makes you think.
Yeah, it really does. Because that's I'm like, there's so many guys. Texas is a program like Oklahoma. There's so many great players. That were All Americans, Heisman winners. You know, you can pick a time. And sometimes I like to go for the guys that aren't the household names that everyone thinks of.
Yeah, and I mean, look, no OU Texas fan is going to admit this to each other. They know their rivalry is the best in any sport. When they play at the Cotton Bowl, it's so special because deep down, both bases have a tiny bit of respect for the other program. They'll never admit it, but you can at least look at Texas if you're an Oklahoma fan and say they've earned the right to be a good football program by wins on the field. And they can look at Oklahoma and say the same thing. It's not like a rivalry with Oklahoma State, that has never won a national championship, or I guess they claimed one and painted one up on their field. But it's a different deal. You know that they have fought the wars throughout college football history to make them what they are, and that's what makes that game special.
It really is. Yeah, I mean, and then we get it out of the dump one day, and it'll be a great rivalry.
Oh, that bark might signify the end for us. Everybody in here, stick around. Cord's coming up with NBA Horn Boy and another dude to talk some Texas football. I hope everybody has enjoyed the evening, and you guys have better than A&M LSU. I don't
In a
know, man, but that 7 overtime game that makes me remember why I love college football. Awesome stuff.
no doubt, it makes.
Nash, thanks for stopping in, everyone. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, right here. Red River North, Randy Heights. I'm Dave Myrick. Love you, miss you. Bye. I think I gotta end that. There we go.